All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call to order. Can you hear it? Perfect. I'd like to call to order the April 10th meeting of the Sebastian City Council. We could rise, please, for the invocation by Reverend Alexis Talbert. Thank you. And then the Pledge of Allegiance led by Vice Mayor Dixon.
Let us pray. We thank you, our Creator, for the beauty of the spring and all things new. And I pray, Lord, that that which has become commonplace in business and on this earth would be refreshed in such a way that we would see it anew. I pray for the City Council, for our mayor, for our city clerk and city manager. I pray, Lord, that you would stir them and all of us to live lives that are worthy of the breath we take. Remind us we're never alone. We're all together with each other as you tend to us and we tend to each other. We thank you. And it is in the one that I worship, Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Dodd.
Here.
Vice Mayor Dixon. Here. Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember McPartland.
Here.
And Councilmember Nunn.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, Council, are there any agenda modifications that anyone would like to make? No? Seeing none, then by unanimous consent, the agenda is accepted. We're now on the proclamations, awards, and brief announcements. Little bit of thing. I understand that the dispatchers need to get back to work, so we're going to do theirs first, as opposed to doing them in the order I think that they're in here. Is that okay, everybody? Perfect. All right. You guys want to come on?
Where's that proclamation? I don't see anything.
Yeah, we don't want to keep you away from over there working.
See
Right?
anything?
Okay, turn around and face these people. Let's be good. All right, this is a proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, April 14th through the 20th of 2024. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and when an emergency occurs, the quick response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon accuracy of information communicated from citizens who telephone the Sebastian 911 Communication Center. And whereas the public safety dispatchers and the Sebastian Police Department have contributed to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients, each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job. Now, therefore, I, Ed Dodd, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim the week of April 14th through the 20th, 2024 to be National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Sebastian, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. In witness thereof, I am hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Sebastian to be affixed this 10th day of April 2024. Make sure I get one of these off of here. Okay, give that to you guys. And now I'll get a mic if you want to say something. You want to? Neither one of you? Okay.
No, I wrote
Hmm?
I'll say something.
You will? Okay, hold on a second.
Both of us live in Sebastian. We love our town, and we just want to thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, she wants to get another picture. Come up here. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, now, this is a proclamation for Earth Day. I think the Natural Resources Board, there are some people here from that group.
Well, we got it.
Now, just so you guys don't forget before I read this proclamation, on the 22nd, there's a big celebration for Earth Day in the park, right?
The 20th.
20th, excuse me. April 22nd, the 20th, and there's going to be a recycling group down there for electronics and for shredding papers, and then there's going to be people at the Roseland Park facility to let you...
Barber Street Sports Complex.
It's at Barber Street, okay, to let you drop off any household items that you want to get rid of to get them there, okay. Proclamation Earth Day, April 22nd, 2024. The 22nd. Whereas governments, businesses, and citizens are essential in harnessing the revolutionary progress needed to save humanity from the climate crisis, and whereas overcoming climate change is within reach if we work together to commit to action and invest our planet into collective future. And whereas the City of Sebastian has chosen to participate in this global movement by adopting the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative, which strives to protect our natural resources while balancing the social needs of our community. Now, therefore, I, Ed Dodd, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2024 as Earth Day in the City of Sebastian and encourage all citizens to celebrate the Earth Day and join the City of Sebastian's Natural Resources Board at the Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration in Riverfront Park on April 20th. And witness thereof, I have hereinto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Sebastian, Florida, to be affixed this 10th day of April 2024. Okay, I'll let you have that one. Now, do either one of you want to say something? Charles, you always want to say something. You want to talk?
I can say something. Thank you, Mayor Dodd. Thank you, the rest of Sebastian City Council and everybody on Sebastian staff. It's not possible to do these things without direction from everybody involved. I'd like to thank everybody that's on the board as well. We have a full board right now. We have a lot of participation from the community, and we're trying to take direction the best we can and do what we can, the best we can for Sebastian. That's about it.
Yeah, it's your turn.
And thank you, Mayor, for the proclamation. And just want to, put it out there for everybody coming to the Earth Day event, or if you can't, if you want to help advertise, we'd really appreciate the support. And we're looking forward to a really great event this year. And if there's anything information-wise at all that I can provide you, please contact me. My information's on the city website. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, guys. Go get a picture. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay. Now, the Arbor Day. Stay here, Charles. Another chance. Okay. This is a proclamation for Arbor Day, April 26, 2024. Whereas the first Arbor Day was held in Nebraska City in 1872. They offered prizes to counties of the largest number of trees planted, and was established that more than 1 million trees were planted on that day. And whereas trees clean our air, filter our water, and even slow storm surge and flooding in our city, trees also help reduce the effects of climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen back into the air. And whereas through tree preservation actions, the city has been awarded the Tree City USA designation for the 22nd consecutive year this year. This award demonstrates our effort to protect this valuable resource and enhance our quality of life. Now, therefore, I, Ed Dodd, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim that April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day in the City of Sebastian, and urge all citizens to protect our trees and nature, our relationship with our natural resources, so that we may continue to enjoy a thriving, livable community. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Sebastian, Florida, be affixed this 10th day of April in 2024. Let me give you that one too. Okay.
Thank you again for the proclamation. On this National Arbor Day, April 26th this year, we will actually be having a planting project at the Tulip Pond on, well, Tulip Drive, and this will be a continuation of the Tulip Pond project. In January, on Florida Arbor Day, we planted trees, and this time around we're going to be finishing off the project by planting more flowering plants and plants in the littoral zone of the pond. And we're hoping that it not only enhance the beauty of the pond, but it'll add to the functionality of the pond as well. So, and if anybody's interested, please contact us.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, just a note, those are all going to be Florida native plants, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Or
So,
at least Florida friendly.
yeah, Florida friendly or Florida native, okay. So thank you. Can I get a picture? Okay, now Jeanette, the city clerk.
Mr. Cannon's here for the water conservation.
You want to do that before we do the proclamation? Okay, all right. We have the Water Conservation Month. Let's come forward, please. Okay, whereas water is basic and essential need for every living creature. And whereas the state of Florida, the water management districts, and the city of Sebastian are working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation, and whereas the city of Sebastian and the state of Florida have designated April, typically a dry month, it has been dry, when water demands are most acute, as Florida's Water Conservation Month, to educate citizens about how they can help save Florida's precious water resources. And whereas the city of Sebastian has always encouraged and supported water conservation through various educational programs and special events, and whereas every business, industry, school, and citizen can make a difference when it comes to conserving water, and whereas outdoor irrigation comprise a large portion of water use. This year, Sebastian will encourage citizens and businesses to focus on improving outdoor irrigation efficiency, and whereas conserving water limits stormwater runoff and ready stormwater discharge in nearby water bodies. Therefore, I, Ed Dodd, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim April as Water Conservation Month and call upon each citizen and business to hereby protect our precious resource by protecting water saving measures and becoming more aware of the need to save water. In witness thereof, I hereby set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Sebastian to be affixed on this 10th day of April, 2024. There you
That's
go,
the
sir.
condensed version. That's the condensed version.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Dodd.
Here.
Appreciate it.
Did she change the mics? Oh, it's on. Okay, go ahead. She said it was on, so.
Mayor Dodd, Council, thank you for bringing attention to this very important issue. April has traditionally been designated as Water Conservation Month. This is the 26th year of doing so, but we want to remind everybody that water conservation isn't 1 month a year, it's actually 12 months out of the year, and everybody can do their part. There is a special emphasis this year on leak detection. So if you have irrigation systems at home, whether or not it's in the ground or on the surface, take a look, see if you can notice or identify any leaks, and also do the same thing inside your house. It just takes a couple of minutes. Running toilets, running faucets, drips, that kind of thing. So we can all play a role in conserving Florida's precious resources. So thank you,
sir. Appreciate it. All right, thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks, sir. Now, the city clerk is going to read a proclamation from the Florida House of Representatives, sponsored by Representative Brackett.
We have a special honor tonight from Representative Brackett. This is the State of Florida House of Representatives, House Resolution 8071 by Representative Brackett, a resolution acknowledging the 100th anniversary celebration of the City of Sebastian. Whereas on December 8, 1924, at 7:30 p.m., a meeting was held at Town Hall in the town of Sebastian, formerly a part of St. Lucie County, for the purpose of organizing a municipal government. And Whereas at the time, there was a total of 105 registered voters within the proposed corporate boundaries, as certified by Ada L. Type, Supervisor of Registrations for St. Lucie County, of which in attendance were 82 of the town's registered voters. And whereas during the meeting, it was moved and seconded by a vote of more than a majority of those present that a municipal government should be organized and that the municipal corporation should be known as the Town of Sebastian. And whereas in 1925, the Town of Sebastian was reincorporated as the City of Sebastian by Chapter 11155 of the Laws of Florida, and whereas now, 100 years later, 26,405 residents currently reside in the riverfront community of the City of Sebastian under the leadership of Mayor Ed Dodd, Vice Mayor Kelly Dixon, Councilmember Fred Jones, Councilmember Christopher Nunn, and Councilmember Bob McPartlin. Whereas on December 8, 2024, the residents of the City of Sebastian will be commemorating the city's centennial. Now therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the State of Florida that we acknowledge the 100th anniversary celebration of the City of Sebastian. This is to certify the foregoing was adopted by publication and in the Journal on March 4th, 2024, and it's signed by Speaker of the House, Paul Renner, and Clerk of the House, Jeff Takis. And I just want to bring this down so we can get a picture with both of you. And Representative Brackett, we have something for you.
Okay. You want to talk? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's on.
Okay. Is it on?
No, it's not on.
First of all, I just want to thank the council, Mayor Dodd, for allowing me to, or making me a part of this celebration, allowing me to do this. Not everything we do in Tallahassee is fun, but these are always fun, and so I appreciate that. I know that each one of you will enjoy the year. I happened to be on the City Council of Vero when we had our 100-year celebration, and I enjoyed that year very much so. But I know it's going to be a big year for each of you and all your citizens here, and we look forward to the festivities.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to probably get more than one picture because we've got something we're going to give to him also. So, you want to? Okay. Thank you. Now, in honor of our 100th year celebration, we've had now this thing's not light. It's going to be kind of hard to put on the wall, but he's got people in Tallahassee that can do that. This is basically a replica of our challenge coin, and it's a seal of the 100th anniversary for the City of Sebastian. And we'd like to present this to Representative Brackett.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It'll be an honor to put this on the wall. I have your city sealed on the wall of my office in Tallahassee already, and we'll add this to it.
Good. All right. Thank you, sir.
Representative Brackett, would you mind if all of council came down on the floor and took a picture with the proclamation?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You want me to hold this? Who has the proclamation? Oh, he's got it.
Yeah.
Robbie's got it. Yeah. It's a hubcap for. Come on, Fred. Thank you.
Oh, is that too late?
It's too late for you to get in the picture. Thank you, sir. Are you going to put this in the bucket?
Thank you for this.
All right.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. And also, this is a grab bag of goodies.
Okay.
All different kind of stuff for the.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Okay, Madam Vice Mayor, I think it's now Your turn.
Okay. Well, based on the proclamations, we are very busy. So starting off this weekend, Saturday, April 13th, the Craft Club of Sebastian will be at Riverview Park from 10 to 3. And the highly anticipated Creative Playground ribbon cutting will take place Friday, April 19th. School is out that day, so all the kids will be available to come and enjoy the highly anticipated Barber Street Park. So that's at 11 a.m. at Barber Street. And then for the very first time, Friday, April 19th, so same day, later, the Chamber of Commerce is kicking off finally Friday on Cleveland Street from 5 to 9:30. So for those of you who are local and familiar with like Vero Beach's Downtown Friday, similar, but in Sebastian. And then kind of Earth Day weekend, Saturday, April 20th, the Natural Resources Board Earth Day celebration at Riverview Park from 9 to 4. Also, at Riverview Park from 9 to noon is the paper shredding and electronic recycling event provided by CavCorp, or in the CavCorp parking lot. My apologies. That's a great thing for, those bills that you want to get rid of that have been piling up. And then in addition to all of that, time to clean out at the Barber Street Sports Complex on April 20th is the spring cleaning event for all of your household items that you want to get rid of from 9 to noon. So a lot of stuff going on Earth Day weekend.
All right, thank you. And it's not an announcement about a future event, but I was at the Easter egg hunt this last weekend. I'm constantly amazed every time I go someplace where the kids in Sebastian, all of a sudden we've turned into a city with young families.
Yes.
So it's great to see that. It's nice to see the kids there and the young families there. So that was really good. All right, anyone else have any brief announcements they'd like to bring forward? Any of the council members? No? Okay. Public input. Anyone from the public who wants to say something about an item that is not in the current agenda, please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Louise Cottenberg, and I live in the city of Sebastian. I'm here tonight because I would like to ask the council to consider reviewing some of our codes with relationship. I'm having an issue with code enforcement, which seems to be very difficult since the law changed and you cannot file a code complaint without giving your name, your address, your birth date, your age, how many children do you have, where do you live. Code enforcement seems to be lagging. And I understand very clearly that code enforcement is not designed to be a punishment, but it is designed to help people understand what the codes are and to bring compliance. I get that. We do, however, have some people who are flagrant abusers, and those are the people who know the codes, but they abuse them anyway. Some of those people have already been notified by code enforcement of things, but they're working around it. In reading the minutes of the last meeting, I picked one little thing from our city attorney statement, said that code enforcement could be proactive and self-initiated. And I know that the reason that it hasn't been previously, because I've been here a really long time, is that we had some over-aggressive code enforcement here at one time that was heaped upon the heads of certain specific individuals. And so we kind of said, oh, no. Now you only respond to complaints. We changed that. And I don't know if that was an official change or if that was just an in-practice change. But I drive down Main Street 2, if not 3 times a day, and I often pass a code enforcement truck who is also driving down Main Street. And there are at least 3 absolute code violations on that street alone that have been there for months. And, I'm tired of being the complainer. I would like to see those things taken care of, though, because our city in general is beginning to look really sloppy in certain neighborhoods. My son and his wife own a home on a street that has several rental properties on it, and I'm sure the people who are renting there don't know the codes. I'm not even sure that the landlords know the codes. But after 5 p.m., there are so many work trailers parked in the driveways and cars parked in the swales on both sides of the street that it is a real hazard driving down that street, because it's also not a lighted street. It has been reduced to one single lane with children playing, people walking their dogs, and I don't want to be the complainer who complains about every street I drive down. So if you might think about asking code enforcement to maybe be proactive with certain issues in the code. Of course, I've got a copy of the code book, and I think it's about 1,240 pages. We can't expect everybody to know all the codes, but I think that we're kind of missing the boat, because we have a beautiful city here, but not everywhere. And the more it happens, the more it will deteriorate. And, in my neighborhood, there's a campground.
Okay.
But the code enforcement officer says, unless I catch them sleeping there, I can't prove that they're actually sleeping there. So I think maybe we need to take a look at the codes if you think that's important. Thank you.
One thing, let me, before you go down.
Pardon me?
The requirement that code complaints not be anonymous is actually a state statute now. They passed that 2 years ago.
I know.
Okay, I didn't know you knew that.
Oh,
yet.
yeah, I did
thought
know.
you were questioning
yes,
that.
I did know
Yeah.
that. I'm perfectly aware of that,
Okay.
and that may be one of the reasons why there are continuing issues, because people don't want to complain about what's going on in their neighborhood. I don't like to be a complainer.
Okay.
I know. That's hard to believe. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Ma'am. You guys can come up next, okay? Yeah. I saw her stand up first.
I wasn't, Ann Stanley, I was not going to speak tonight, but as long as she's talking about code enforcement, it rings a bell here. We have a scenario, fortunately, there is a vacant lot between my house and the house, and it's been a constant problem with code enforcement. My neighbor has addressed it. There were all these junk cars, 4 junk cars in the front. He drives by often. He knows exactly what house I'm talking about. 2 of the cars had sat there for 15 years, junked, according to neighbors. Now, I haven't lived here that long, so don't take me under oath. But anyway, it took forever to get 2 out. Then the 3rd one, there was another one there. I had to, my neighbor said, I'm getting tired of this. And so I complained about the other one, and nobody's lived in that house. In 5 years, I think somebody lived maybe 2 years in the house, the last 5 years, okay? So it's basically been vacant. The people built up like 3 hours north of here. Then there's a shed in the back that they got a cease order for no permit. This was approximately 5 years ago. So the building department has been notified. This has been going on for 5 years. All these studs with loose boards, and now we're getting into hurricane season, and I just spend a lot of money on windows, new impact, but I find out if those studs go through my window, I have to put a new window in. And so it's getting hurricane season, and I think we put a lot of emphasis on hurricanes. Get ready, June 1st. I think that shed, after 5 years, all it is standing studs and wood that's all come loose up on the top. I think it's time for it to be gone.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't think I'm being irrational about the whole situation. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. In the back there. Hello. And would you give your name and address for the record?
I'm Catherine Healy, and this is Deborah.
I'm Deborah Greer. We live on opposite sides of Engler Drive, the corner.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about.
So we have unfortunately, we have a list of like 5 different things that we would like to bring to your attention. And you very well may know about these things because they're not, unknown. But it's time that, it's getting to the point that it's dangerous. And so if you don't mind, we're going to take them in order. And the first thing is the 4-way stop. Are you familiar with the 4-way stop at Engler and Schumann?
Okay.
Well, we're the only ones that seem to be familiar with it because the cars are not stopping. But anyway, and those that do are stopping in the crosswalk. But the situation is now it's become more dangerous than it's been. Just last week, there was a hit and run. A car hit a guy on a bicycle and didn't stop. The painter that was painting my house went over and gave him a glass of water. Prior to that, there was another hit and run, but it was a car that was hit, and they didn't stop. And more times than none, there's been so many that while I'm trying to, because there's no crosswalk on my side of the street, I have to go to the other side of the street, and the cars have literally come up to my knee. I put a light smack in the middle of their windshield. I have smacked their car, and they just come whipping around from Schumann down to Engler like there's not even they don't even look, but they don't stop for the stop sign.
We also have pictures of everything.
So just last night, I believe it was, I think 2 or 3 mailboxes were taken out. Mine have been taken out twice this year. And it's just, what we've put in complaints, we've been to the police department, we've been down here during the day to discuss it with someone, and they told us to come here.
Right.
We're told by the police that there's not enough police on the force and that they're cutting back so that there'll even be less police to handle these issues. So I do have a suggestion. I know it's not one that is accepted as of yet, but I think it's worth reconsidering. Cameras. I'm from Maryland, and I can tell you that we have cameras everywhere, practically every intersection. And I know it's annoying, but this not only frees up the police force because they don't have to be there to man the area, but there's a fine. They take a picture of the license tag, and there's a fine. And that's where it hurts people. People do not want to pay for these fines. So if there's enough fines and they get hit with them, they're going to start stopping for the stop sign. The other suggestion we have is that the road itself, Schumann Road, is a total mess. It's sinking, and it's been filled with patch after patch after patch, and you can just pick up hunks of it and walk away. But it's just recently been patched again.
They've told us several times that they're going to do the street, but they never do it.
But the issue there is that what we really think might help with the stopping with the stop sign also is that instead of having the curves, because I have pictures, they come across my lawn rather than to stop at the stop sign and go. And it's like there's a dirt path with tread marks in it. If they had like sharp corners versus so that they don't just come rolling around the corner and hit me. It's I've had my dog out there, and we don't have like a crosswalk on that side. So even if there were these, don't walk, something, further down Schumann, further down Engler, they have because this is another issue, is the speeding. They're racing down the road. There was a accident 2 nights ago.
2 mailboxes were taken out on Engler.
And they were racing. And this is another very common occurrence. So, it's just really gotten bad at that corner. So the idea of the camera is this would not only benefit us, but also the money that the fines would be incorporating could go towards policemen's salaries and also to possibly repairing the road. And I think that's obviously greatly needed. Because that's what we're hearing, that there's not enough money to pay the policemen, so that they're going to be cut and we're going to have less. And that's what we were told at the time of the hit and run with the bicyclist.
It's actually a serious matter. It's very dangerous to try to cross the street with your dog. And unless you live there, you don't know. But it's a very, very dangerous It's getting worse.
Okay, you're right.
So-
I'm sorry, your time is up, but, because
Okay.
we only, but
All
I
right,
will-
there's one more thing, Schumann Park.
Yes,
Yeah.
Schumann Park, there's been two very serious issues there. One, I'm sure
Drugs.
it's been ongoing, is the drug dealing in the
free
back
sex
there.
at night.
But at night, I had to call the police last week
Yeah.
because there was either a rape or I could hear.
Yeah,
And so my suggestion there is that park is closed after a certain hour. I don't know if it's dusk, but when the lights go out, and they could have like a gate go across there with a sign posted on that gate that the park closes at a certain hour and that no trespassing allowed. Because right now, anybody can go up in there. And so I had asked, and I'm grateful for part of it, but they did take down a lot of the shrubbery, which is where they were able to conduct all this.
okay.
And, so they're very serious issues.
So do we have a solution, because we've been up here several times?
Well, we also would like to, you to
No.
consider our suggestions, and if you have any others, we'd be I'm even willing to do volunteer. Right now, I'm not working.
Okay. Council, unless there's any objection, then we'll ask Brian to see if there's something that he can look at, maybe talk to the chief. And I don't know if there's anything, I know there's been police activity in that area for a long time.
Well, they just told us that they're not going to be able to continue.
They're not refusing to do that. And I hope nobody in our police department told you that they didn't have any money for officers. That would not have been a very neat thing to say.
We were cutting back because they didn't have enough money.
If they did, maybe we can find out who said that.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that Schumann is on the plan to be redone this year.
we've been
They're
told that
actually
for 3
redoing the
years.
swales along the sides of Schumann right now in preparation for redoing the street. So
Okay, 'cause we've
that
been
part of
told
it's going to
that
be
for 3
done.
years,
But maybe
so
Brian
we-
can,
And there is one last thing that for me personally, the pine trees, I've had to replace since 2019 my screens in my pool cage 3
okay,
times.
we can't, yeah, I mean, if it's on your property.
No, it's on your property,
okay, then-
unfortunately.
so,
And
okay.
otherwise, I'd have cut
All
them
right.
down.
Okay.
But the
Well,
thing-
your time is up, but we can't,
I know,
and
okay.
Brian is, Brian's aware of it, and we'll ask him to just, I mean, he can sit back and have some conversations with the chief and just talk about it and see what can be done. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for taking the time to
Thank you,
listen
guys.
to us.
Anyone else want to come forward? How are you guys?
Great, how are you?
Good.
Good. We're here with Little League to present Mayor Dodd and Vice Mayor Kelly Dixon the game balls that they threw out at the first pitch at our opening ceremonies this year. So if you
Oh, well,
could please come
thank you.
down.
That's so nice.
Thank
You
you.
mind coming down?
You want to go down?
You speed it up. Speed it up. I only need 3.
No, she practiced. She threw the ball like she knew what she was doing.
Practiced.
Oh,
Yeah, I think she did.
I
Yeah.
did it. I threw football all week with my
Oh,
son.
we're gonna get you to recruit to come coach
I
on there.
heard, I
Throw
heard.
perfect
I'm
pitch.
I'm the girls softball coach, so
Yeah.
I need you to show up.
All right.
So on behalf of Sebastian River Little League, we'd like to present Mayor Dodd and Vice Mayor Dixon the game balls. I'm here with my Vice President Amber Serta, Board Member Jason, and all the board members who couldn't make it. We really appreciate you guys, all the work that the city staff does, the Parks Department, City Manager Brian Benton. We have a great relationship with everybody, and we hope to continue it. The leagues, we've had great growth, and we got nothing but positive stuff out there. So we really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amber, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming
All right.
out.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I gotta go to practice.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to come up? Public comment. Anyone on Zoom?
Nobody has raised their hand at this time.
All right, sir, thank you. Now we're on to the consent agenda. Council, what's your pleasure on the consent agenda?
Mayor
items?
Dodd, I'd like to pull item E from the consent agenda as a
Echo.
citizen request for discussion.
Okay, item number E.
Item number E.
Anyone else want to pull something?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of items 8A, B, C, D, F, and G.
Second. Yeah. We have a motion and a second, and there is some money in this, so we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
And Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Nunn, item E.
I had a citizen request that we discuss item E. I think concerns with some past events and wanted to bring it up, so I think we should probably open up for public discussion if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anyone from the public, before the council has an opportunity, is there anyone from the public who wants to talk about this item? Yes, ma'am.
Scott Berg, and I live in the city of Sebastian. I'm the citizen. Thank you. I brought notes. Okay. At one time, Riverview Park was to be used only for nonprofits, and the local people and businesses were assured that the use of the park for the 5 festivals that the city sponsored during a year would not impact the life of the rest of the citizens of the city, nor the businesses. It appears that there has been a change to that, and we now see what I would call profiteers using our park for their business place. I've never met Ms. Snow. She may be a wonderful person, but the festivals that are now being broadly advertised as being Sebastian's festivals are not Sebastian's festivals. They are her business. When you go online, I went online several times today, as late as 5 o'clock, to look at the calendar of festivals, and I was linked to the city site immediately. Like, oh my gosh, that looks like those are city-supported festivals run by the city. A number of people that I know have been disappointed and felt that they were misled by the labels that are put on the festivals. For instance, the Italian Fest, which had nothing to do with Italian anything. It had to do with lots of commercial booths where various different goods were being sold. Food trucks were being there. It was a commercial event. It was not a festival. The other events that have been there have also been commercial events, not festivals. And I think that's a disservice to the rest of the citizens in Sebastian. For instance, if you just take a look at April, the use of the park in April, it's very heavy usage. April's a pretty good fishing month, but I guarantee you're going to find it hard to find a parking place down there. And Ms. Snow advertises that admission is free and parking is free, so come on out. She also advertises 2 vendors, big ad right in her place that says, I need vendors. Vendors welcome. And then in the little print below, it says, booth and space rates vary. And you need to contact her via text or phone to find out what she's charging for it. And I know that there was perhaps an idea that charging more money for the use of the park would be okay for a nonprofit, but I'm not too sure that it's fair to the rest of the citizens to be using the beautiful park on the riverfront every single weekend for some kind of event, half of which are commercial events run by a nonprofit. Run by a for-profit company. And I'm not the only one who feels this way, and I would like you to review that and think about, maybe, is that the right thing to be doing for the citizens, the whole citizens? Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, could you've recently instigated or implemented some changes to the rental process. Can you kind of cover those for us for the snow?
So the only changes we've implemented recently, we implemented obviously the requirement of police officers to be on site for the event. So she does have to pay for police officers. We are requiring that she have her own waste receptacle dumpster on site, and any waste that is accumulated during the event has to go in their item, and she has to pay for that to be delivered, picked up. And we've also, I think those are the two major changes that we've made recently in regards to requirements for these events. Okay. But other than that, it's the standard rental policies and procedures for a special event at the park.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm correct in this because looking at the past events, but this is the only commercial event that is currently renting our facility or that park for these type of events. I don't think we have any other commercial renters, do we?
We do not have any others at this time.
Okay. I mean, you know, you hate to be, you put you in the position. So if you turn around and say no commercial ventures, then it gives other things that may have a reasonable and good opportunity to do it. But if any of those people going to that event selling crafts or other things have other opportunities, they have the craft clubs, they have the other art shows, they have the other nonprofit festivals and things that they can be part of. So we're not really taking anything away from them. The problem is if we don't have a limit, then there is no limit. And I was kind of had this discussion before, and if we don't say you can only do it this many times a year, then literally anybody can come and rent the park every free weekend of the year and have a festival down there. And I don't know that it's serving the citizenry, oh, that was a rough word, citizenry, as its intended purpose. And I think that's what Ms. Cottenberg's chief complaint is that the for-profit events is not serving what the mission of the park is. Mm-hmm. And I would be up personally for considering changing our rules. And once again, I'm thinking back in all the years I can remember. I don't know that we've ever had other commercial entities rent the park that I can remember. Everything else is related to a nonprofit or a city-backed festival. So I don't know. I bring it up to say maybe we do need to reevaluate our policy on that.
In addition to that, you know, I've mentioned it before, my mom is a member of the craft club. I attend every single one throughout the year, and they've had much less people attending ever since the Barb Snow thing has come, because people are kind of festivaled out, if you will. Or they're confused, which one is it? Because they have been to these events and they've been turned. And so the crafters are a little upset. And these craft clubs, you know, they put together their funds that they raise, and they put together local scholarships for the art kids in the community. So it's just another thing to consider. And I remember too, you know, having the park free of a festival for a weekend is a great time to bring your kids there, to let them scooter through the park, or to, you know, have a little birthday party at the picnic tables. You know, it's nice to actually enjoy it and let it be peaceful.
I believe the city only has 4 sponsored events a year. Am I correct in that?
I believe it's 5.
Is it 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the city has
5, and then we also have the concerts in the park that are sponsored by the city as well.
And then the art club and the craft club.
The city has 5 sponsored events, and the reason I'm bringing this up kind of this way is that I have some concerns about using the word commercial versus non-commercial, because in every single one of the events that's held down there, probably with the exception of the movie in the park and a concert in the park, there are booths, and the people in those booths are selling their products for a profit. That's commercial. Even at the art club, they're selling their products for a profit. That's commercial. The clam bake, whatever they're going to call it next year, there are booths in the park, and they're selling their products. At the last city-sponsored event in the park, I bought 6 jars of some of the best pickled stuff that I've ever had from a woman who was selling her pickled stuff at a profit. That's commercial. So if we want to say, for example, that Ms. Snow can only have 4 events a year, we've actually done that through changes in the land development code related to festivals that were done, like at the Catholic Church, because they were having these rummage things way too often, and the city actually said you can only do so many of these a year. But all of the events in the park have a commercial node to them. The people in those booths are not selling their products at a loss, and they're not selling their products with 20% kickback to the city. They're operating a commercial enterprise. The same thing that Ms. Snow's booths are. They're a commercial enterprise. Now, I will tell you, at the Italian Festival, I was not overly pleased, primarily because I felt like that the vendors that were there were selling their wares at a much higher price than I had seen in a lot of the events down there. They were a little bit more proud of their stuff.
The difference is, though, the dues that the vendors pay to the organization goes to a local cause in our community, where she pockets that money.
Yeah, and once again, this goes back to the core components. You know, we're not a closed economic system. You know,
I know.
If somebody wants to create a business entity to make a profit, that's called capitalism, and we really push ourselves around that whole process of capitalism. And I don't think that I just don't think that it's a clear message to say we don't want commercial stuff in the park, because the next thing we're going to have to say to the people that run the craft brew hullabaloo is, if you've got vendors in there that are selling their wares at a profit, that's commercial. So, I mean, that's seriously, there's slippery slopes here. You have to be careful. Now, for us to say to someone like the Snow Enterprises that we're only going to rent you the park 4 times a year or 3 times a year, we're not limiting it because it is a enterprise that's being put together by somebody for capitalistic purposes. We're limiting it because we don't want one person to rent the park all the time.
Right, which
and
I think is more reasonable.
That's not an inappropriate thing to do. I just really personally am concerned if we start crossing that boundary to say we're going to select which businesses can make money in the park, as opposed to which businesses cannot make money in the park. That's kind of like saying which Dollar General we're going to approve because we want them to make money. We're not going to approve the Dollar Tree because we don't want them to make money.
Well, I think we discussed last time we brought this up, limiting it.
Yeah.
You know, like our nonprofits, I think they have, is it 6 events
Yeah.
in the year? So what if we say the commercial, they get 3, like a commercial entity, like cut it in half?
I would agree with that personally.
And that would be something I think that Brian could spend some time with the attorney talking about the legalities of how we can do that with the growth management people, and talk about how we can bring that through the land development code and come back with a proposal to the council to think about doing that. And if we approve this item E for one show, that doesn't negate our ability to put something in place for the future shows, I don't think. So
I agree.
Yeah.
John?
Does the rest of the council agree?
And I would say if Brian can monitor what the ads say is about, you know, is it alluding to that this is Sebastian sponsored?
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
I know, Mayor, if I may, so I know in the past, she has included the City of Sebastian logo on flyers early last year at some point. Okay, we required her to remove all notifications that is City of Sebastian logo. All of her Facebook pictures were removed that had the City of Sebastian logo. I'm looking at her website, or I just recently was. It does say it takes place in Sebastian. I can't stop that, but she is not using our logo on her flyers.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Do you have an issue, Brian, with trying to work through the process of seeing if it's possible for us to put some type of limit on the number of events?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I think we've got clear direction from you all that we'll look into this and bring it back.
And maybe you could even focus it towards for-profit events as opposed to not-for-profit events. I don't know.
Once again, every single vendor at the craft show, every single vendor at the crab brew, whatever it is there for a profit.
Mayor Dodd,
No, but it's the overall
I would beg
organization.
to differ in one respect. The person that's responsible for that event, that's paying the fee
Right.
for the park, that's putting their insurance on the line, there's a big difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit.
Exactly.
I think if you want to put some type of a designation there, say city-sponsored events versus non-city sponsored events. And that way, the events that the city has their sponsorship on would be the ones that we treat differently than the other ones.
But how does that affect the craft
Don't
club
call
and the
them
art club?
for-profit versus not-for-profit, call them city-sponsored versus non-city sponsored.
We'll look into it and bring something back to you all.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Anything else? Do we have a motion on this one, on G?
Not yet, on E.
Oh,
E.
E, yeah.
Not yet? Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'm asking.
How many events has she already had this year? Just curious. 2?
Do you know how many events she's had this year?
So I think she is, Mr. Blankenship just informed me, we did limit, sorry. Mr. Blankenship did just inform me, we did limit her to 6 events a year, is what she's currently at. If you all want us to look at reducing that and formalizing it, we can do that.
Okay.
So we'll put something together and bring it back to you all. I think when I had looked earlier today, just because I had a quick look in the calendar, I think from September 2023 through May of 2024, there were 6 or 7 events that had happened through the calendar.
Is there a consensus among the council that they want to reduce that number from 6 to some other number?
From me, yes.
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 I'm open to suggestion.
Okay. So since you're at 6, there is a consensus that they're open to suggestion for you to come back with a smaller number.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of item 8E.
Do I have a second? I'll second that. Do we have a motion and a second? Any other discussion from the council? Okay, let's have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
No.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Dixon?
No.
Okay, motion passes 3-2.
Okay, we're now on to planning, and we're at first planning and zoning. We have 1 regular member position to be filled, and I would like council, if it's okay, to nominate the oldest serving alternate, which she's only served longer by about 4 months, Cindy Giese, than the other alternate, but I'd like to nominate her to fill the permanent slot that expires on 2/1/2026. And then if there are any other nominations, then I'll hear them. But
I'll second her nomination. I'll second her nomination.
Okay. Well, you
yeah.
don't have to second a nomination. We just have to vote. Okay. Are
what
there
I
any
was-
other nominations?
That's who I was going to nominate.
All right, then in that case, she's been moved from alternate to that position. Now I'd like to make a motion. I move that we waive the advertising requirement for the now empty alternate position. And if the council agrees to do that, then I'll open up for nominations for that alternate position.
I'd like to name Michael Coleman to that alternate position.
Out of curiosity, Mayor, are any of the Michael Coleman?
Yes, Michael's here.
Michael Coleman's here?
Yeah, have him come up, whoever is here.
And I guess Christopher Robin Day, Paul Devil, Lenny Hawk,
Yeah.
Terry Reno, are any of them besides Mr. Coleman here?
If you'd like to come forward, please.
Yeah, and they could
Just give your name and
tell us about themselves.
Good evening. My name is Paul Dovell. I've been a member living in Sebastian going over 4 years now. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of everybody this evening, and I appreciate the consideration for the position. This is my 4th time attending such a meeting and hopes to at least get in front of you all. So I'm making progress in that respect. I feel like I have a lot to offer in this position. I know that I would be a great fit for it, and if anybody has any questions for me, feel free to ask.
Okay. Any questions?
I guess one question.
Yes, sir.
UK or Louisville?
I'm sorry?
Are you UK fan or Louisville?
Oh, neither.
Neither.
Any
That
other
was a
questions?
trick question.
That was a great one. You threw me a curve.
All right, are any of the other applicants
Thank you.
here?
Yeah, there's one in the
Michael
back,
Coleman.
sir.
In the back, sir?
Hello, my name is Terry Reno. I've been a resident for 15 years. I have a background in city government. I'm a retired civil servant. I work for major utilities and municipalities in South Florida, and have a background in some planning and some engineering and utility work.
All right, anyone have any questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, now did we actually vote on the motion to waive the public notification? No, we have a motion and a second on that. All in favor of waiving the notification, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so we've officially waived the notification period. Now I'm open for nominations.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Reno. He has a good amount of experience and something that looks like it would be a great knowledge and experience to the board.
I second that.
Yeah, you don't have second nomination.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move forward Michael Coleman. He also has a lot of experience, and he brings maybe a fresh eyes from outside of Sebastian to look at some of it.
Okay. So we now have two nominations. Are there others? Okay, council, I want to have the clerk read the roll, and when she does, please indicate whether you would like to vote for Mr. Coleman or Mr. Reno.
Okay, Councilmember Nunn,
Mr. Reno.
Mayor Dodd,
Coleman.
Vice Mayor Dixon,
Mr. Reno.
Councilmember Jones,
Reno?
and Councilmember McPartlin.
Sorry, Reno.
Reno? Okay.
Sorry, Reno.
Mr. Reno.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. You're now alternate on the Plains Zoning Commission. Okay. We're now on to Natural Resources Board. We're going to get a report and an update from the Natural Resources Board. And since we asked them to do a report, I don't think we need to turn the clock on unless Charles talks too long.
I would turn the clock on.
Yes.
Well, that could happen. That could happen, so yeah, turn it on.
I noticed they put the clock up there when I had to come down and do my first report on the plastics. Like, I don't recall the clock being there. And everything we've all been through all these years so far. And it's been really great. I'd like to say good evening to everybody. Thank you for having us up here. We enjoy doing what we do for the city of Sebastian at the direction of the city council. And it's an honor to serve Sebastian in such a way. Tonight we will be presenting to you an update of the Natural Resource Board and our ongoing projects. Tonight's topics covered, we'll be looking at some of the major highlights from just the past couple of years, our current projects and accomplishments, and our projections for the near future. Our mission statement: the Natural Resource Board is here to improve the quality of life in Sebastian by nurturing the balanced relationship between our citizens and our environment, and by protecting, preserving, and promoting our natural resources. It hasn't been as easy as you would think. It sounds like it should be a lot easier, but it just really, it's been tough. And as you may already be aware, thank you. As you may be aware, we are grateful to have the opportunity to make this difference for our community. Some of our highlights from the past 2 years include hosting 2 successful Earth Day and Arbor Day celebrations, hosting 2 successful Treasure Coast Waterway cleanup events at our Main Street boat ramp site, participating in the Christmas parade in 2023, and endorsing the Tulip Pond project, for which the city was awarded grant funding from the IRL NEP. And it's an ongoing project. We really like that Tulip Pond project. And we are also proud to say that we now have a full board once again, consisting of 7 regular members and 2 alternates. The board members have a wide array of experience, and that lends well to our endeavors. I now pass the torch to our environmental technician, Felicia Gordian, who will begin by going over our current projects.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Charles, and thank you, Council, for having us. All right. So one of our, of course, major upcoming things is our annual Earth Day and Arbor Day celebration on April 20th. We're very excited to be working with a lot of different environmental organizations this year, and there are just a few here listed here. Bike Walk of Indian River County, as part, not only will they be at the Riverview Park for the main event, but they will also be with us at the Barber Street Sports Complex for the bike roundup. So if anybody has bicycles that they are no longer using or are slightly in poor condition but may otherwise have usable parts, they can be brought to the bike roundup, and they will be assessed by Bike Walk of Indian River County for their parts. And if anything can't be used, then it'll be taken by Waste Management, but everything that Bike Walk can take, they'll be using in their bike rehab program, which is a fantastic new element for our event. And of course, in conjunction with Waste Management, and without their partnership, this wouldn't be possible. And then we're also welcoming Indian River County to join us for the event this year, and we have some really exciting speaker sessions lined up, so we are definitely looking forward to that. Our speakers include Indian River County, the Environmental Learning Center, the Marine Resources Council, and UF-IFAS. And as you all know, we do have our Sustainable Sebastian initiative, which we are currently making moves on, and it's comprised of course, 6 overarching goals that you see listed here, and each of these goals is assigned to a board member who is our champion for that particular goal, and they help focus on this particular item. As we have just gained some new board members, we have not currently assigned them to anything yet, but I will be coordinating with those board members on any assignments that might pique their interest and where their expertise lends best to. Right. Some of our accomplishments from working towards the Sustainable Sebastian Initiative include our first ever sustainable event guide. This is a little guide that includes tips and tricks for transitioning away from single-use plastics. And this is not only for our vendors for the Earth Day event, which this is our pilot for, but they can use these tips and tricks in their everyday lives and practices and their businesses. And so we hope to see more iterations of this in the future, and hopefully we'll get some feedback from the public as to the utility of this document. We've also come up with a staff sustainability questionnaire, which we presented to the board in February regarding the results of that questionnaire, and that had to do with environmental practices within the workplace so we can better understand what is going on here within our city's operations and any areas for improvement. Garden Club Park is lined up as one of our next planting locations, so we're going to be beautifying that park. We actually just had a meeting yesterday with Native Butterfly Flowers regarding design consultation, and the plan as of right now is that they will get back with us with their designs. Staff will go over it, and once we've talked it over with with Tim and Anna Harrison of Native Butterfly Flowers, then we'll bring that to the Natural Resources Board for their final input. And then we do have our, as part of our green infrastructure plan process, we have been assessing the parks and also the city-owned tracts of land that are not currently being used for anything. And Nicole Mosbleck, who is our champion for the Green Infrastructure Plan portion of Sustainable Sebastian, has assessed over 13 different parks, and in conjunction with the tracts that have been assessed by staff, we have over 25 sites that have been visited in total. Coming soon down the pipe We will be revisiting the tree protection and landscaping ordinances. This has been a very important point for the Natural Resources Board and also within staff experience. It constantly comes up that there are things that need to be amended about the code, and so we will be looking into other municipalities for possible codes to emulate or things that we can learn from what their current practice is on, and we'll be going into that just after Earth Day. And then we are also looking to partner with the Pelican Island Audubon Society to conduct air potato removal events at Stormwater Park. We're aiming for a potentially maybe a fall or winter event, and so we will be coordinating with them on that. And then looking a little bit further into the future, of course, we will be increasing our native landscaping on city properties. We'll be continuing to do the same things that we did with the Garden Club Park, where Sherida Billman, who's our champion for that particular, for native landscaping goal, she'll maybe make a selection of which other park seems to need a little more TLC, and then we'll likely move forward from there, and we'll possibly work with other organizations to make this happen. We will also, moving forward, once we have all the data that we need for the green infrastructure plan, all the tracks and parks have been assessed, that'll be going into cut sheets, and then that'll be brought forth for management recommendations that will see where we need to pivot in order to make the best use of our natural resources. And then, of course, in conjunction with what I said just a little bit ago, we will be making recommendations for tree protection and landscaping ordinances once we've kind of assessed where our problem areas are. And as always, we will be continuing to push forward with our efforts with single-use plastics. Anything we can do to help educate the community and make sure that this is something that we are all moving towards, because plastic pollution is such a severe problem, and everyone loves our local environment, and everyone is so disheartened to see, you know, plastics just strewn about everywhere. And so if there's something that we can do that continues to push forward this, more iterations of the Sustainable Event Guide, more improved practices, not only at City Hall, but if there's other ways we can provide guidance to the community, that is what we are aiming at. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, please do let us know.
Are there any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I do. So first, I'd like to say, anybody that hasn't seen Miss Gordian's video on Facebook, I encourage you to go check it out, an extension of what she does in her job and involving gopher tortoises. I know that's a huge subject, but she talks about that and some other things in her video. I encourage you to go watch that. You talked about landscaping ordinances, and I know I brought one of these to the city manager recently, and it's a house that was built near me. And it's definitely one of these things that needs to be dealt with, and I know Charles will agree 100%. We've had similar discussions in the past. It was a house that was built and had 6 oak trees planted, all on the backyard that is less than 10 feet from the house to the back line of the property. Well, you can guess that at least 4 of those came out, because how could you possibly have 6 oak trees along the back of your house in that short, small period of, so I would love to see some future changes with new construction. I don't know how much you can be involved in tree placement. You know, as far as choosing the choices of trees, those are already pretty much done, you know, with following the code. But man, placement, I wish we could find a better method for enforcing placement that made sense, so everybody didn't rip half the trees out after they closed on their house. So just my thought. Y'all are doing a great job, as always. Thank you for everything. But
yeah, thank you for
I think that's one pain point I think we have as a city.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And that's something that I experience a lot in my day-to-day job because of the inspections that I have to go. And I go out to see these properties, and oftentimes my colleague Joshua Simpson, he'll go out to properties, and you know, these are the kind of problems that we observe where they put a brand new tree right next to the foundation of the house or right next to an AC unit, and there's, the way the code is written at the moment, I can't do anything about that necessarily, but that's what we're hoping to make changes.
Awesome.
And move
That
forward.
would be good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hey, the house in the corner of 512 in Roseland has done a great job landscaping, I have to say.
Oh, I have seen that house. He's extending his driveway. He's got plants around the whole structure, the whole front, side, all the way down the sidewalk, the trail.
They didn't let that.
Putting sprinklers in. He's doing it up for that piece of property.
Yes, he is.
I'm impressed with the amount of landscaping he's done.
Anyone else have any questions?
Well, I like the idea that you guys' as board is very experienced and there's a lot of great
And
talk there.
passionate.
And I want to thank you all for that. The parks assessment that you have going on, I think now that we have Avery, and she has done a couple of the parks and put them out on social media, I think she should be utilized kind of in the parks assessment and what they have so everybody can see them. And quite possibly have these residents vote on the favorite park in Sebastian.
I
And
would
any
like to.
suggestions or deficiencies that they see to report it, because I'm sure it'll all be negative, but you guys are doing very positive work. And Avery is just doing phenomenal, you know?
But I'd like to echo Mr. McPartlin. I don't know if you all had any play in these board members, the last three that you brought on, but wow, they have a wealth of history and knowledge they bring. I did some research on all three of them, and I was very, very impressed with what those three new members brought to your board. It's amazing.
Question is, are you guys able to go into the schools and talk about what you're doing?
The school district would have to approve that. So you have to provide a plan, a lesson plan, the whole
Okay.
bit to the school
It
district.
just might be a nice thought to
Yeah, I
kind
mean,
of
it
get
might be
them
possible,
on
but-
board with sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are components built into the original Sustainable Sebastian Action Plan that talked about in-school educational outreach. So there are opportunities for that. That may be one of the things particularly related to single-use plastics, but all the topics covered in Sustainable Sebastian, that there might be an opportunity to engage the students in that way.
Great.
All of these initiatives are fantastic. But if anyone has seen the latest research on microplastics and the fact that there isn't a living creature on this planet who's not inundated with microplastics in their bodies. The single-use plastics, those bottles don't stay bottles. They break down. And right now, if you go out in the lagoon and take water samples, you're going to find a gigantic amount of microplastics in there. All the fish in the lagoon have microplastics all throughout their bodies. The humans have it throughout their bodies. And so the things that we have a difficult time from the political perspective to deal with are the most important. But they're also, because they're the most difficult from a political perspective to deal with, it's very difficult to get them done. I know you guys have been working for almost 5 years now on microplastics, and still have a hard time getting people to talk about wanting to do away with their plastic straws and plastic bottles and all that stuff. So,
You mentioned the microplastics. It's getting down to the nano scale size. It's not just the granular parts left over, but it's the chemicals that they're made out of. One of the things the changes that happened 70s and 80s was the chemicals that they applied to the plastics to make them pliable, and it turned out that they applied these forever chemicals, PFAS, to just about everything, bottles, plastic bags, and they did it before they got the science in on all these chemicals. So they were like, oh, it's not going to hurt you, but we don't really know. And it really is one of the reasons why I'm doing everything. A lot of them looking for some answers. That's really what I'm doing.
good work, guys.
Thank you very much.
On that note, the microplastics, I saw that the EPA just initiated their first changes and limits on forever chemicals in drinking water. About time.
Yeah, now just wait till Congress votes on that.
Mr. Mayor, we take 5?
Please.
Yes, sir. We're on a 5-minute recess. kind of like herding cats.
Now it is. It wasn't.
But I'm the biggest worry weren't there.
I didn't do it.
She said the clock ran out.
Yeah, clock ran out?
Yeah, you overran your time, Fred.
All right, we're gonna take another one in 20 minutes, then.
He's 39.
All right, council, we're back in session, and we're on to item number 10A, and I think we'll turn this over to the city attorney.
Thank you. This is ordinance number 0-2405, an ordinance of the City of Sebastian scheduling an election to submit a referendum issue to the electorate in order to amend Section 4.12 of the city charter to change the term of city council members from 2 years to 4 years with staggered elections from 2024 to 2026, providing for such manner in which such election shall be conducted, providing for the time and places for holding such election, establishing the form of the ballot for such election, and providing for an effective date. So I'm bringing this forward back to you tonight for a second reading and public hearing. At your direction, the language is changed in order to stagger the terms. The election in 2024 will be for a 2-year term, 2025 will be for a 3-year term, and elections thereafter would be for 4-year terms. If approved, this language would be on the ballot in November of 2024. If you have any questions, I am here for you.
Okay, let me kind of direct you guys to, I think the city attorney passed out a one-page insert.
Yes.
And the one question, we probably don't have to deal with this until the next charter review committee comes about, because I think the time frame we're looking at this, but starting in 2026, we're pointing to a 2-year mayor term. And my question to the council is there anybody who thinks that we want to shift to 2-year terms for the mayor? Or do we want to try to stay with the 1-year term for the mayor? And once again, like I said, we're going to have a charter review committee probably in 26. And so we could leave that up to the charter review committee to deal with at that point in time and make a decision as to whether the public and the council at that point in time wants to shift to a 2-year mayor term or stay to a 1-year mayor term.
I think that makes much more sense because we're trying to do one thing. When you try and add too many things, it makes it much more difficult.
Right.
Let's just focus on the one thing.
So we're good with that. Anything in the document or in the charter, it appears that the way it's written up is anything that's in the charter that we feel like we need to do from a cleanup point of view is far enough down the road that the charter review committee could deal with that when they come about in 26.
Right, if you'd like me to explain a little bit further, or?
Go ahead.
So I did put this together at your request to look at some other sections of the charter to see how they'd be affected by this potentially. And we looked at 203, and it talks about elections being in even numbered years and odd number years. And so I wrote, kind of diagrammed it out on the back, and as you see, it doesn't really affect us in till 2026, like you said. And at that point, you would have 4-year terms for council members, and it would become 2-year terms for mayors rather than a 1-year term. So going from a 2-year term like we have now with a 1-year term mayor, essentially a half-year term. And then once you go to 4-year terms, then you would have a 2-year term as mayor. That would be the effect if you didn't make any changes to Section 206. Section 203 talks about the even number, odd number. So you have 2 council members on even years and 3 council members elected in odd number years. And that really doesn't affect anybody until 2028. Otherwise, the elections line up even odd. So like you said, nothing would really be affected until 2026 and 2028, past the point at which a charter committee would be evaluating it. But also, essentially, 2.03 elections will be obsolete at that point. So I don't see that going forward after that point regardless.
Okay, if I understand what you're saying, is the Charter Review Committee in 26 could basically remove 2.03A from the charter.
Right,
and then the
it
Charter
should be
Review
repealed
Committee,
at that point,
and
probably.
then the Charter Review Committee could deal with the issue of 2-year mayor terms versus 1-year mayor terms.
Yes, sir.
as part of their work in 26.
Yes, sir, because you'll have several different councils before that time, and you'd be trying to make a decision for three future councils if you made a decision on 2.06 tonight.
Yeah, I don't have any problem making decisions for future councils. We do that every meeting, don't we?
This is true, sort of, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know whether they want to have their mayors.
Okay,
for-
all right, so.
Well, 206 won't even need to change because it really just
Correct.
says it's appointed after the new elected council. So if that's only happening every 2 years, then 206 applies to 2 years.
The
But
question in my mind is, and this is something that needs to be dealt with by the public, is do we want the mayoral term to be a 2-year term or a 1-year term? And that's a question that the public should deal with, either through referendum or whatever. And if the public agrees that a 2-year term is appropriate, then they don't have to change the charter. They can just agree to leave it the way it is.
So my thought on that is, and I don't mean to say this in a negative sounding way, but they have no say in who's mayor now. The mayor is chosen by the 5 council members that are sitting on this council. So it really, there's no citizen input on that fact now, and they're just choosing the 5 council members.
Yeah.
So as far as whether it's done every 1 year or 2 years, it's mostly a ceremonial position. We don't elect mayor. So
Right, we don't-
honestly, following 206, when our elections are only every 2 years, the 2-year mayor term kind of just falls into line with it. So it seems to actually just make sense to do that, in just my opinion. Since right now, I'm not saying the public's opinion doesn't matter, but their opinion isn't involved in the mayor process now. It's the 5 council members. So just my thought.
Yeah, but whatever happens, though, the charter review would recommend the changes to us.
Yes.
Then we would have to approve them. They would still have to go on the ballot for the citizens to decide whether or not they want to do that or not. So either way, it works.
Yeah.
And just as a side note, I think it's important to note that all of your charter amendments would always have to go before the electorate. And that's because of the way your charter was reaffirmed by the electorate.
Correct.
Yeah, so basically, if we change, we have to modify
So we have to.
2.06 some way in the 26 timeframe through the Charter Review Committee.
Which section does it actually say mayor is a 1-year term?
It doesn't say specifically, but the way that it works out based on your every other year elections, essentially, you've got 2-year terms for your council members, and you're having an election every year.
Right.
So every year you're getting a new mayor. If you
Right.
change it to 4-year terms, then it's going to be every 2 years you
Right.
have an
I mean-
election.
Because it says the new city council shall, as first order of business, elect a mayor.
Yeah.
And every year, we essentially have a new city council.
Correct.
So if
But
this was
starting in
approved.
26, that
Yeah.
will only happen every 2 years.
Correct.
So, I mean, in real fact, if
Then you
this
don't
ballot
necessar-
passes, then 206 still stands
You're
as it
right.
reads.
That's true.
With no changes.
Correct.
I'm not going to be on this council in 26. I can guarantee you that. So it's not a big deal. However, I personally don't believe that shifting the length of service of a mayor from 1 year to 2 year should be a default action without the public having some input to it. But that's up to a charter review committee in 26.
Well, and that bears my question is, what are they going to change if it already stayed? I guess there's where the question is.
They
Are
can
they going
change it
to
to say
add the
that-
term?
Yeah, they can change it, say the first meeting in November of each year, the council will elect a mayor.
Okay, so they would actually add that term
They
to
can change that.
to 206.
If the consensus among the charter review committee.
Was to do it, yeah, okay, that makes
is
sense.
to let the public decide that, then it should go to the public, let them decide that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to vote as a member of council to not take that to referendum.
No.
If it comes from charter review committee. So, okay. All right, council, what's your pleasure on ordinance number 02405?
Do we have
I
public?
make a motion to approve
Public input?
ordinance 02405.
Now, do we have to say as amended because it was amended after first reading?
It doesn't hurt, you don't have to.
As amended.
Okay.
Second.
Now, do we have any other comment? Do we have any comment from the public on this? Seeing none. Okay, let's have a roll call.
Hey, Mr. Mayor Dodd, before we do that, I do remind everybody that we are not making a decision to change anything we're giving the citizens an option to elect whether or not they wish to make the changes.
Yes. What this ordinance does is place an item on the
Yes, sir.
referendum for the November election this year.
Putting it totally in the citizens' hands.
Yeah. Any other comments?
I just got one question.
Yes, sir.
You're talking about the next charter review committee. Will that meet in time? Because those other changes would really have to be on the 2025 ballot, correct? Not the 2026?
Well, no, sir, my opinion is it should be on the 2024 ballot, but like everybody says, that complicates things.
Right.
I don't like to make people think that we're not including everything, and then it sounds like we're trying to hornswoggle them a little bit by doing one thing and not doing the others. But the attorney has convinced me that she feels like, and I agreed with her after some consultation, that it's better to kind of leave it like it is and handle these things separately. I still think this is a matter of the public record now, this piece of paper that the attorney gave us today. So that's a matter of public record. So if anybody out there wants to see what the impact of this is if it passes, this is what this states that. Okay. We will have to, at some point in time, in my opinion, deal with those two sections of the charter. The Charter Review Committee that will meet in early 26, and then on the 26 ballot would be any revisions to the charter that they would propose that we make. And so then on the 26th ballot also would be the first year that we actually have 4-year terms as the norm.
Okay.
Okay. Because in 24, it's still a 2-year term. In 25, it goes to a 3-year term for the three of you. If you run in 25, for the three of you that will run in 25, you'll actually then not run again until 28. And so 26 is the first year in which it is a true 4-year term for the people in the election. And the Charter Review Committee can include those changes to the charter in that also as a part of that referendum in 26. And they won't make any modification except the fact they'll change some language in the charter. So if they choose to bring that forward.
Mayor Dodd, if I may propose a thought, if this does pass in November to go to a 4-year term, then in 25, we could bring this before the change the mayor term as a charter amendment on that 25 election.
1 year, 25.
Well, but we could change the 25 election. We could put this on there to change it for 26. So we could do the charter amendment and let the Charter Review Committee handle the more important things they might want to deal with. We could reapproach this if this passes in 25. We could approach this as a charter amendment ourselves that next year so that it comes in play for 26. That way we could leave the Charter Review Committee to focus on more important things. It still goes before the electorate that way.
That's a possibility. I just personally would hate for us to throw charter amendment on every election that we have, you know, so from that perspective. Yeah.
I hear you.
Let the Charter Review Committee deal with it. It doesn't change the process at all if they wait till 26 to deal with that. So, yeah. Questions? No.
All right, but either way, at the end of the day, the Charter Review, when they do meet, they'll have to bring the changes that they recommend to us. And then we have the ability to decide whether or not, if one or all or some are not going on the ballot. So that language, whatever they propose, it'll be before us, and we can make a decision of what goes to the voters as to what their choice would be.
Yeah. Now, it'll be before you in 26, yes.
I won't be here.
Okay. Okay. Any comments? Any more? Then let's have a roll call, please.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
And Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we're on to 10B. That is ordinance 2407.
Resolution. Or ordinance.
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 Yeah.
Ordinance number 02407, an ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, providing for the codification of meeting procedures as established in Resolution R-2402, repealing Resolution R-2402, providing for repeal of all other ordinances, resolutions, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, providing for codification, severability, scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. So this is a procedural cleanup matter. It implements the matters we spoke to with respect to speaker oath cards for quasi-judicial proceedings, and also codifying all the matters contained in R 2402.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Move approval of ordinance number O-24-07.
Second.
Mr.
Right.
Mayor.
So
Miss-
one conflict we have, when we talked about eliminating Zoom, and we decided not to, but we are having the speaker oath cards implemented, and that does present a conflict because there's no ability to, well, there is some ability potentially to have a speaker oath card presented with somebody who's on Zoom, but when a quasi-judicial matter is being heard, you're presenting a problem for an applicant potentially who's not able to cross-examine that person, and it presents legally a problem for me potentially and the city. So I would ask you to consider eliminating the Zoom input on a quasi-judicial proceedings, at least.
Well, I agree with that.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that because both sides, the applicant and the staff, should have an opportunity to cross-examine anyone who presents evidence, and they can't do that on Zoom.
I thought we had that discussion.
I thought we did too. At the end of the day, your direction was to allow it for everything. Originally, at the workshop, you said eliminate it for everything.
Yeah.
And then we came and we decided to have speaker oath cards, but then you ended up just saying, my direction and recollection, and speaking with the city manager as well, was that maybe your intent was not that, but the end result was that you did you did allow it for everything. So I'm seeking direction to amend that, if you would consider that.
So you're talking about us modifying the language in section 2E? That's the CM?
Yeah, I would like to add the language back in that prohibits public input during quasi-judicial matters via electronic technology.
Okay.
Let's
have some language.
Does Mr. McPartland need to restate his motion? I will withdraw my second if he wishes to do that.
You want to withdraw your motion?
Sure.
Okay, now, can you, Madam Attorney, can you give us language you'd like to see in there so we can evaluate that?
Right, so under E.
Under section 2, E.
2E, just at the end, add language that public input via electronic technology would not be permitted during quasi-judicial hearings. And I can wordsmith it.
Okay, so you're talking about basically where it says the same finding applies to city board and committee meetings. Prior to that, basically saying that public input via commercial media technology would not be allowed for quasi-judicial hearings.
I had it, hold on, if you could, just a second. We had it somewhere else, didn't we, Brian?
Yeah, that item E under section 2 is the only place I think that CMT is actually referenced.
I don't see it anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't see it anyplace else.
Only other quorum, it mentions it.
Who's talking?
Sorry.
Okay.
Under E, commercial media technology, that electronic technology would not be permitted for public input under quasi-judicial hearings.
Okay, so you're just adding that basically in front of the last sentence in that
Yes, sir.
section E. Okay, so if someone wants to make a motion and includes that language before the last sentence in section 2, item E.
I'll make a motion for R-2407 to approve as amended, removing commercial media technology for quasi-judicial hearings. All else stays the same.
Second.
Okay, and just for clarification, that change will be made in section 2, item E.
Yes, 2E.
Are we okay with that down there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we have a motion that we amend section 2, item E to limit the use of commercial media technology for public input on quasi-judicial hearings.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Any other comment about that? Anyone in the public like to address this?
Where's it?
Seeing none. That group over there looks happy.
Did you ask if anybody's on Zoom for this discussion?
Kids.
Mayor, did you ask if anybody's on Zoom for this discussion?
All right, are we okay? Then let's have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Hey, Mayor Dodd,
Yes, sir.
did you recognize how bright it is in this room lately?
How bright?
Yeah.
Very bright.
It's bright.
I mean, it's not bright, but it's much lighter in here than it was before.
Did somebody put new lights in or something?
They did.
It's beautiful. Everybody's so bright out there.
My glasses are so dirty I can't see anyway, so. Okay, we're on to item C, I believe, under 10.
Yes.
That is a second reading, ordinance O-2408. Madam Attorney.
Ordinance number 02408, an ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, providing for the codification of meeting procedures as established in Resolution R-2215, providing for repeal of all other ordinances, resolutions, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, providing for codification, severability, scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. So this also is a second reading on procedural matters relating to citizen advisory boards. These changes related to citizen boards and procedures that needed to be codified from that resolution. I'm asking for your approval on second reading.
What actually changed?
On this one, the change was with respect, hold on. Actually, I don't think there was any changes on this one. It was just a codification.
Okay, so, yeah, because I'm trying to find strike throughs.
Yeah, I don't think there was any modifications on this one. It was just a straight cleanup matter.
Okay, all right.
This was just not, it was just not an ordinance, so we're just codifying that into
Yes,
an
sir.
ordinance right now,
Okay,
correct?
all right. Council, what's your pleasure on this?
Move approval.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Anyone from the public like to address this item? All right, seeing none. Council, any comments about the motion? If not, let's have a roll call.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
And Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And, okay, we're on to item D, ordinance O-2409. Madam Attorney.
Ordinance number 02409, ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, providing for codification of meeting procedures as established in Resolution R-2035, providing for repeal of all other ordinances, resolutions, or parts thereof in conflict herewith, providing for codification, severability, scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. This is brought before you on second reading and public hearing. The matters that are being codified, it relates to quasi-judicial hearings. And what I would ask is along the lines that we spoke about earlier with regards to the speaker oath card. Under A1, I would ask that you would authorize changes to recognize that public input would not be allowed on quasi-judicial matters via electronic technology as well. If you could add that into your motion for that language to be changed, because we were talking about having a speaker oath card there under A1 on 2174. That's on page 153 of your packet.
So what you're saying is that public input would not be allowed without a speaker's oath card being provided?
No, this just adds, well, during quasi-judicial hearings, yes, but also that they couldn't have the Zoom input.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I would just like to put the same language that we had under the 24.
Okay, so you would just add that at the end of that?
Exact same language at the end of 2174A, parens 1.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure.
And the other change in this ordinance relates to the maximum time limits. All of that is outlined on 154 that you authorized previously, and it's all underlined. As you can see, those are what the changes are to that. Otherwise, there's no changes. Was that confusing? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just trying to, it appears to me under section A1, on section 1, item number A1, that if we just add that no input by electronic means would be, public input would be allowed under quasi-judicial hearings to the end of that would probably do what you need to.
Yes, sir, that's what I'm asking.
Okay. So it would follow the underlined sections that all person wishing to speak, quasi, okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Council, what's your pleasure on this?
There was a discussion before that there, and I'm trying to remember exactly where it was, where that a party to the hearing could appear electronically if needed. Is that no longer going to be allowed then?
It's public input.
Just public input. So
Correct.
that does not affect a party of the hearing from appearing electronically.
No, if they choose to waive their legal rights to appear that way, then that would be allowed. But
Okay.
public input would be different.
Good. Thank you.
So if an applicant chooses to appear by Zoom, then we'll allow that.
Yes. But see, their legal rights are the ones that we're worried about right here and infringing upon.
Yeah.
So if they choose to waive their right to be here and cross-examine people in public and confront,
So be it.
Okay,
staff
so-
and whoever, that's their choice.
Okay, so I would ask then, whoever makes the motion, that they add to section 1, item A1, at the end of that paragraph, that no public input will be allowed during quasi-judicial hearings via electronic means.
Was that a motion?
I should, no, what are you're shaking your head down there. I shouldn't
Yes,
make
that's the motion,
That
but
sounded
generally
like a
you're not
motion.
going
I'll
to make
second
it.
that motion.
You can make a motion, Mr. Dodd, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just trying to be impartial here.
Okay.
It's great.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
There we go.
Now, anybody out there in non-Zoom land want to make a comment about it? No? Okay. Then, if there's not any other comment, then let's have a roll call, please.
Who was the second, please?
None.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
And Councilmember McPartland?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, we're now on to 10E. Madam Attorney.
Ordinance number 02410, an ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, amending City of Sebastian Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 6, Boards, Commissions, Committee, Division 1, generally amending Section 2-172, removal, amending Section 2-173, attendance requirement, providing for severability, codification, conflicts, scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. Mayor, this is a second reading and public hearing on Ordinance 2410 to amend these sections. These changes relate to modifying provisions of the code relating to Citizen Advisory Board removal, city attorney investigations, board members as you directed previously at our work session, and to clarify the role of alternates on citizen advisory boards such that they would not be participating in public hearings unless regular board members absent from that meeting. If you have any questions, I look forward to those.
I'm still trying to digest item A. I think I had issue
So
with
I did
that.
make the changes to item A that you requested, or
Oh.
that were directed.
Am I not going far enough in here?
So
or
we
something?
struck the first sentence of A from the first reading, such that you couldn't remove a member at will by one person unless it's a certain type of position where that only one council member has the right to nominate or appoint that council member. Otherwise, it'll go to the full council.
Okay, so it says right, this is what I just make sure. When a member appointments are required to be made by an approving resolution or motion, such member shall serve at the pleasure of the council member having the nominating privilege for the consideration of such approving resolution or motion.
So what that means is, say, for example, I'm not sure of all the different boards that you appoint people to. There's quite a few.
Budget.
So say, for example, Councilmember Vice Mayor Dixon has the right to approve somebody to a water resource board for the county on her own, and it doesn't come before you for a vote, then she would have the pleasure of removing that member. This may come into play, maybe not right now, but in the future, this is a potential that you could have that right to appoint that board member and it wouldn't come before council. That contemplates that scenario.
Okay, because the only instance of that currently today is the Budget Review Committee. And where each member up here appoints an individual to the Budget Review Committee, and then there are at-large members that the council as a whole appoints. So what this is saying is that person, and I don't know who, I quite frankly can't remember what Vice Mayor Dixon's appointee to the Budget Review Committee was, but if she decides next week that person is not satisfying what she felt they should do, then she could bring to the council to remove that individual, and basically that individual would be removed without council approval.
Correct.
Is that correct?
She doesn't have to bring it to
don't have
council.
to
If
bring
she
it to
can approve them if she can appoint them without bringing them to council,
Okay.
then she has the right to remove them the same way.
Okay, so she, basically the mechanics of that would be she would go to the city clerk and say, I'm removing
Yeah.
Joe Blow and
Yes, sir.
I'm putting Jane Smith in.
Yes, sir.
I personally have no issue with A, except for one word, and one word I still think needs to change, and I think the word nominating to appointing serves better, because we're not nominating that person for the board, we're appointing them to the board. And once again, it's only the Budget Review Advisory Committee. But if that entire sentence stayed the same and it said appointing privilege, then it would, to me, it makes more sense than nominating.
Legally, I don't have a problem changing that.
I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think that meets what you're
agree.
wanting.
Let me, and you can kind of explain how this would fit in here. This evening, Councilmember Nunn nominated an individual to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the council, actually there was a nomination also by Councilmember McPartland. And the council voted for one of those people to be on the P&Z. And so that person was the one nominated by Councilmember Nunn. This is not saying that Councilmember Nunn has
No.
any rights.
Originally, the way it was written, that was how it was intended.
Right.
But we struck that first
Yeah.
line such
Okay.
that it would only apply to like he said, the appointing council member.
Yeah, I
So
think-
that's a fair change. I don't have a
Appointed
problem
is-
with
I mean, the
that.
third word says appointments. I think having the appointing privilege,
Right.
I think serves better, and it meets
Correct.
what Mayor Dodd's concern is. And it meets what our real concern was, that what he just said, I couldn't remove the guy that I nominated tonight on my own.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that you're comfortable from a legal perspective that Item A does exactly what we just talked about. Only if it's someone who is appointed by an individual, that individual has the right to remove that person.
Yes, sir. Based on the prior direction that you gave at the last
Yes,
meeting
yeah.
and changing that word, I'm fine with changing that word also.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll make a motion to approve O-2410, changing the word in A from nominating to appointing as the only change.
Now, did you have an issue with that from a legal?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay, all right, because I thought I heard you say you did. but I
Second.
didn't know. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Fred, you did it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other comments? Any comments from the public? You guys are an agreeable bunch tonight.
So I guess if the person that I nominated for the committee, I want them gone, all I do is call Jeanette, she fires them.
No,
and
you
then I
can't.
give it-
No.
I have to fire them?
No, nobody fires them.
Okay.
You're appointee to the Budget Review Board.
Right.
You call Jeanette and they're gone.
I call Jeanette, she tells them they're gone.
No,
and
you
then
have to do that. Nowhere in here does it say throw Jeanette under the bus.
All right, I'm just asking. I have to let them go and then give the new person.
So to be fair, we have two
Okay.
boards.
You have to do that, yes.
All right.
We have two committees. We have charter review and budget advisory.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. All right, so we have it, let's have a roll call, please.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
And Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And now we're at Resolution R-2422. This is the parking in lieu of fund purchase for, it's a Tiki Bar, right? And this doesn't require reading by the clerk, does it? No. Brian, do you want to introduce it, or do you want?
Yeah, I was, Doria, while she's getting set up here on this item. So and I just want to preface this by saying, at the last council meeting, you all gave myself and staff direction to bring back the parking in lieu program for discussion in the future. However, this program request here was already in motion. So after this, we are halting parking in lieu until it comes back to you all. So no further considerations after this request is considered. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dory to give you all some information.
This was a request from the Tiki Bar owners. They have an opportunity to rent some of their transient boat spaces to a boat club. It required some additional parking for spaces, and they wish to purchase it through the parking in lieu program. Staff recommends approval.
And they're still going to, those people could use their existing parking lot, so, I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not
Yes,
like
so
they're.
even though right now there isn't any parking in lieu spaces that are installed in that
Right.
area of Indian River Drive,
Right.
they still have 111 spaces. And as we understand, the boat club is actually, the office will actually be on Washington Street, but because they're using those marina spaces, that site requires the parking also.
Council, any comments?
No,
No.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of Resolution R-24-22.
Second.
Okay, anyone in the public like to address this? See none. Let's have a roll call then.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
And Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
And we're on to item number 12B, approval purchase order for Thomas Construction, Inc. to continue 22-23 drainage improvements related to the roadway improvements in ITB 2001.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Mayor, I can get started and Karen can answer any specific questions you all may have. But this is coming to you all, obviously, we've had a contract with A. Thomas Construction to do concrete work for the city. That bid process was completed in 2022. We just recently, back in March of this year, February of this year, extended that contract for another year with A. Thomas. So they are still on contract with the city to do concrete services. And in our assessment, as we've gone through and done
worked on the swells in preparation for the road repaving project to come on board for the FY 22 and 23 projects. It's been determined that an additional 73 driveway culverts have are either beyond their lifespan, damaged, or installed at an incorrect elevation. So with that, we go through and replace those and do the necessary work. So we're coming to you all to request approval for expenditures in the amount of $127,698 for A. Thomas Construction for drainage improvements related to road repaving.
I have one question, and that's about the incorrect elevation. Are we putting in place some additional precautions so that we don't have driveway culverts installed in the future? I've driven through the city and I've watched them put in driveway culverts in brand new houses that are 2 feet too high or 2 feet too low for the houses next door to them. And I'm just wondering what we can do to make sure we catch those on inspection. Or do we have to what kind of process can we put in play to do that?
So with the Stormwater Master Plan, we now have a GIS system of our stormwater system for the ditches and the canals. We since then have acquired a Trimble unit, which is a GPS locator for X, Y, and Z coordinates. So we are keeping a continuous map of all the new driveway culverts. We always checked elevations before and after, but many times if we are pulling elevations from an incorrect benchmark, that's where some of those issues come from. But now that we have a system-wide map that we're constantly referring to and checking, we're going to be in a better situation. Okay. But we are finding a lot of issues with these road repavings.
Yeah. Now, these are one-time repairs to driveway culverts. Once we do these repairs, we're notifying through some, I'll say legal means, but through some letter that's strong enough to make them understand that in the future they truly are responsible for that. Are we doing that? Because we're not taking on the responsibility to modify driveway culverts forever for everybody. No. We're only doing this so we can get the swale system in operational order on the roads that we're repaving and so forth.
So that's one reason that we've enhanced our social media presence about the swales and the importance of homeowner maintenance, and we do need to increase our messaging about that. Mm-hmm. We have not yet done direct notification of these specific residents, but we do not foresee problems coming up in the immediate future. So we have time to flyer and give more information.
Okay. I personally, and the council can talk about it because I can't direct Brian by myself, but I would like to see us send some type of registered or certified mail to each of these owners and let them know that the city is in the process of correcting the swales and taking financial responsibility to do so. And part of that means that we're going to replace your driveway culvert. But after that's done by us, you are responsible for it. Something that goes directly to the property owner that says that. I mean, you can put stuff on Facebook and Nextdoor, and you can do all this stuff on web pages, but people can always say, I didn't get that, I didn't get that, I didn't get that. And I just think that we need to do a better job possibly, and it's not a negative statement, I'm not saying it because we haven't done it, but we need to do a better job of communicating some of this stuff directly to the property owners. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll guarantee, I've driven down Schumann, and you guys have done a fantastic job on that swale system on Schumann, but I'll guarantee you that most people in those houses, and including the people that own them, don't even recognize the fact that the city went in there and fixed those swales.
Could those possibly be added to like the property appraiser site, you know, where you get like all the documentation when you look up your address? Because ultimately these homeowners now may leave in time, just so that that's, you know, documented somewhere. I was just curious if there's a way to scan it in.
Yeah, I don't know. You could, it would go to the clerk of the court.
Okay.
Yeah, if you do something like that. I don't know whether it would be possible for us to put something like that through the clerk of the court, but I do know that I think it's important that we very directly communicate to people mm-hmm. what their responsibility is once we finish what we're doing for them. That we basically, based on the code in the city, we're not required to do this. No. We're doing this to try to get this stuff straightened out. So that's I don't want to put anything in here. I just want to bring that up as a thing, and maybe let the council discuss it and see if they think it might be a good idea.
And is this like a code enforcement thing?
I'm going to let Bob be the bad guy here.
I mean, you're absolutely right, because I've sat up here when we did the quarter round, And the people at the end who were promised they were going to get this quarter round, then the quarter round was done, and those people never got their quarter round. Now you're saying we're doing this to improve the system, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. But we get 95% of the system done, and it's working great. The 5%, now they're looking, where is mine? You did this person, you did this person, you did this person, and then maybe somebody at the top, they didn't maintain theirs, and because there was nothing in here, you fixed this one twice, this person down here didn't get anything, as well as when they did the canal system over on this side, the expectation that everybody got is on the other side. When the canals failed, not only they were getting back the nice walled canal, no talk about this slope thing because the slope was cheaper. So I think there does need to be something in there that, hey, we took care of you because, you know, I know me and another former council member, we were promised that quarter round and it never came. And we were always looking at for the other person. And, you know, I just don't want somebody, they've heard this story before and nothing comes to them. But the improvements have been great. I mean, I see them, and I hope that they are maintained over time, and that's a concern.
Maybe a hang tag for a door hang tag for the areas that you're doing. And, you know, we're doing this as part of our road maintenance and stormwater improvement project at the same time, but after this, you own this swale, it's yours. I don't know. Y'all can word it, but maybe a door hang tag might be a good idea. I don't know how expensive they are to do, and you're not really needing that many because you're not doing that many, but.
It's a lot cheaper than certified mail.
Oh,
yeah, it is cheaper than certified mail, but the door hang tag, especially in certain parts of the city, will only be thrown away by the person who's renting the property.
Correct.
Doesn't really care.
Well, right.
So, I mean, there's certain times that spending money to do something gives you an advantage over doing it the cheap way. You know, I think. So that's something for you to consider.
Yeah, something to think about.
Okay.
Or it's almost like at the end of the year, you know which addresses you did. And if they're documented that this improvement was made, that way there is some sort of record on it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we'll discuss our options. I mean, obviously, certified mail funding is a little bit of a concern. I'll just quickly share, we're looking at doing a bulk mail system for our public meetings upcoming. And in order to do a mail out to everyone within the city, it's going to cost us in the range of $7,000 to $8,000 for a postcard. And that's not certified mail, that's bulk mail. So just to throw some numbers out there of what it could potentially cost is you're going to be greater than, obviously the numbers will be less because we're not doing that many, we're not doing the whole city, but we'll get some cost estimates and see what it looks like.
Well, I mean, here we're talking about
73.
73 driveway culverts. So
Correct, so we'll run some
and I'm
numbers.
saying, you know, at this level of severity, if we're going to do 73 driveway consultants, then we could send 73 certified letters to the property, the owner of record of that property, you know, as opposed to sending it to the whole city.
Right.
And maybe, you know, you've talked about the newsletter, about trying to restart that newsletter. That might be an appropriate way to notify everybody in the city, hey, we're doing this, you know. Again, so. I don't know.
I'll make a motion to approve this purchase order for Thomas Construction. Hey, Thomas Construction. I don't think we did that yet.
I would second that.
All right, anyone from the public like to comment?
Don't fix my driveway.
I don't see anyone wanting to comment, therefore, let's have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
I think this one is for the airport, right? 12C?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this item involves, we've got Ms. Graham here from procurement. We've also got Mr. Sabo here from the airport, in case you have any specific questions. But this is a hangar project that we have bid out, I think, 4 times at this point, and nothing ever came back that was, you know, acceptable price-wise. So on this one, we did come back with some acceptable pricing that falls within our budgeted amount when we take into account we have an FDOT grant that's going to cover 80% of this cost, and the city will use discretionary sales tax funds for the 20% match that we're required to. And you'll see in the packet the invitation to bid 2405, the competitive bid process. The numbers are shown in there. Our plans with this is to build 3 hangars from this bid go with 3 buildings that will be built. And then we'll use the additional funds to purchase a prefabricated restroom facility, which will be required in order for us to meet the building requirements. So with that, we ask for approval, and if you have any specific questions, we've got Ms. Graham for procurement and Mr. Sabo from the airport.
Council, any questions, comments?
We got these ones rented out already before they come?
Jeff, do you have them rented out yet?
We have enough demand standing by, ready to go into these. That's correct.
That's great. And I know in our conversation, Mr. Benton, you said that Island Harbor Custom Builders is a local company, so that's kind of nice too.
Correct. They are a local company here, right here in Sebastian.
I'll make a motion to approve ITB 24-05.
Second.
Anybody in the public like to address this item? Seeing none, let's have a roll call, please.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
And Councilmember Jones?
And 12D.
1 second.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you said yes. Sorry.
Dramatic effect over here.
Mr. Dramatic.
It can't hear where else.
We're going to remake the movie The Joker and let Fred
You can be the
star in
star.
it. All right, we're on to number D.
All right, perfect. So once again, Ms. Graham, Mr. Sabo are here for any specific questions. This is requesting approval for to utilize Dickerson infrastructure for ITB 2406, which is the rehabilitation of Alpha aprons at the airport. Once again, this is also a grant-funded project, 80% funds from FDOT grant, and the additional 20% city match we will use discretionary sales tax funds. This item was budgeted, and we have full funding ready to go for this, and we seek approval to move forward with Dickerson to complete this project.
Council, questions? What's your pleasure?
Move approval. Second.
I think Councilmember Dixon got to do the motion this time.
Okay, thank you.
Or Vice
Still
Mayor
away.
Dixon, excuse me.
Yes.
And we have a second? Anybody in the public will address this? Seeing none, let's have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
And Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, we're now on to the city attorney matters. Madam City Attorney.
Nothing more from me tonight. Thank you.
All right, city manager matters.
So I've got a couple things. The first thing that I'm going to, and I just saw Barb run across the hallway, so hopefully they're getting everything ready. So the first thing we're going to do is present our first edition of our Pelican newsletter, which is going to be a digital format. This will be going out to the public by the end of this week, so I just want to give you all kind of a look at it. It's going to include a lot of information from all of our departments, projects that are currently going on, and give further information. So as you can see, that's the cover page to the newsletter. You'll click it open. It'll kind of be in a magazine format. You'll have the table of comments on the page number 2. And then we have city council right there. And we included everyone's biography. And we have a picture of Mayor Dodd from the Easter egg hunt right there with the Easter bunny. And Barb, we'll just give them an example of what the city manager's office, if you have that one loaded. So quickly, this is just kind of some information that we're going to share with the public. And if you look on the right, the page that is on the right-hand side, our social media, there'll be videos in there that'll play that people can click on. Once again, we're going to have this on our website. We're going to invite people to register, submit their emails. They'll get email notification when the newsletter is made available to the public. But this is kind of our start of getting a Sebastian newsletter back out to our residents once again. We are going, I don't want to commit to it at this time, but based on our funding for this year, digital newsletter was our best option at this current time. There may be an opportunity in the future to look at doing a mail out of a newsletter, but I think this is going to be a great opportunity for us to share information to the public, and we'll work to get as much information out and get people to sign up to get the emails that'll drive them back to our newsletter on our website. So you all are getting the first look at it as it kind of finalize everything. embedding the links. I believe I said that correctly, Barb, and trying to make sure we have all of our links and our videos set and ready to go, and it will be going live to the public later this week.
Okay, and it's going to get on our city Facebook page also?
Absolutely. We'll push it out on all of our social media sites, Facebook, Instagram. We'll probably try to get a post out on Nextdoor as well, just so that element of the social media community can get driven back to our website and at least notified that it's there. And we're going to work on getting a link set up so that they can register to receive the newsletter in their email. It's going to drive them back to the website because it's going to be housed on our website, but they'll get the immediate notification in the future that newsletters are out there.
I like it.
Avery looks surprised in her picture. She looks surprised.
So that's the first. Thank you, Barb. I appreciate it. So some exciting things. And once again, I'll just do another plug for our social media and get it out there, and people follow our social media outlets for more information. Also, kind of new information that we've just recently finalized. As I mentioned a couple items ago on the agenda, we've gotten cost estimates to do a mass bulk mail out of a postcard to advertise our Riverview Park Master Plan public meetings and our Stormwater Master Plan Action Plan public meetings. So both of those are going to be going out on mail outs to the entire population within the city limits. We're finalizing those postcards to hopefully have those finalized sometime early next week for mail out, within the next week or so. The dates, however, are set. We're ready to go on those. Riverview Park Master Plan public meetings will take place May 14th at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. So we'll have two separate options for the public to attend, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. on May 14th. The Stormwater Action Plan public meetings will take place May 23rd at 3 p.m. and 6 p.m.
And they're going to be held here?
And they will be held right here in council chambers. And we will broadcast them and have it live as well on broadcasting. So like I said, we'll get those mail outs sent out to the public, and we'll start getting those notices put out on all of our channels as well. And the last thing I just wanted to mention, I'd gotten some information. I know that I had actually just recently reached out to the chief after some discussion with a few council members in regards to our code enforcement. And we're going to be working to see about getting a report that can either be shared with the council and shared with the public on exactly what's happening with code enforcement, whether it's a monthly basis or quarterly basis. We're going to do one of the two. In our current quarterly report, we do share the facts of how many calls they are participating in on a quarterly basis. It goes into a little bit of detail on what those calls were, but not all the way down to the address that was looked into. However, I want to preface all this by sharing with the public that we're working to be proactive. If there's specific things that public is noticing, feel free and give me a call, and we can go out and take a look at it and kind of see if there's broad areas or issues within the public. I know that we've gotten good response from code enforcement on many measures lately. And just to give a rough estimate, code enforcement, we have 2 officers, and on a monthly basis, they are responding to anywhere between 2,000 and 2,500 calls a month is what they are currently looking at. But we'll get that broken down. Obviously, some calls, it's a little bit of a duplication effort because they report the calls based on the code issue. So they could go to one property and there's 4 code issues. So that number right there with that at times. But they are out there, they are out in the community, but they are responding to a lot of calls. So we could probably be a little bit better proactive, and we'll continue to work on that and improve for the community as we go forward. So thank you.
All right. The city clerk matters.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
She talked a lot tonight, though.
She did.
Yeah. She got to read a proclamation. Okay, Vice Mayor Dixon.
Oh, I was just going to wish the students at Sebastian Charter Junior High a safe trip as they travel to Washington, D.C. next week.
Oh, wow.
The 8th graders.
That's good.
So that's a cool trip.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's my turn. I'm going to follow up on one thing that our city manager just said. The citizens request line number, if you don't have it, is 772-581-0111. And you can leave a voice message. And quite frankly, that is the quickest way to get a request for assistance from the city into the city. I mean, you can call Brian. He'll talk to you and he'll try to do what he can do for you, but he's still going to fill out one of these citizens request forms because that's how he gets it to his staff. That's how we have management control. They're tracked, they're reported on. So once something gets into that system, the member of our staff actually is responsible for following up on it and for communicating, doing all that kind of stuff. If you don't do anything other than fill that form out, you're still getting it to the right person in the city. If I get a phone call from someone who says, I want you to fix so-and-so, I forwarded that email if it's an email to Brian, but I also work on filling out one of those forms because even the council members are supposed to fill out those forms because that's the only way we have management control over this stuff. And I can remember not that many years ago where people complained because they asked somebody 25 times to fix a problem. Well, if you fill out a form either by going on the website and filling it out by typing it in or by calling, you'll get it into our management structure. And hopefully, if they do their job, which they all do, quite frankly, you will receive a notification from somebody that they've got it and they're working on it. So please take that avenue when you go through that. The second thing is that fertilizer ordinance is kicking in, and I'm not sure exactly when, but we are now getting into the time frame in the year starting 1st of next month where we're limiting fertilizer use in the city. Now, all the commercial fertilizer guys know it, and so they're not going to do the wrong thing, but if you're doing your own fertilizer, there are rules that you have to follow. You can't put fertilizer that contains phosphates and nitrates and stuff like that within, what is it, 15 feet of a body of water or something. So there are rules. So, and that's on the internet. It's on our website. So see if you can find out. There's also rules on running your sprinkler system. If you bring your water from a well or from the county water system. Now, if you pull your water out of a drainage canal, you have some flexibility on what you can do with that right now. So, but there are some limits on that. And I bring this up because there will be some people get written up by code enforcement if they find their sprinklers running at the wrong time of the day. So there are limits, and you can only run your sprinklers twice a week. Depends on what your address is, even or odd, when you can do it. So that stuff's important to keep track of when you do that. That's all I've got. Mr. McPartland.
I'm glad I don't fertilize old boys, so I don't got to worry about that.
Your mic, is your mic on?
No.
Okay.
There we go. So the ladies who came up talking about Schumann and Engler over there, and I think when we repave the street, is there a way that they can use, sometimes you're going down the streets and it has the rumble thing, you got to stop coming up. Because I know it is kind of a dark intersection at night. And when you're coming from, I guess, Barber up that way, that's a long straight shot. And I know there probably are a lot of people, but when we're doing the paving, any other kind of enhancements that could be done along there to make that safe? Because these aren't the first two ladies that have come up and talked about that. The other aspect is, I guess it's, coming up on 8 months that Brian's been here. And I just can't say it enough is because the residents that I talk, I get complaints, but I have gotten more compliments than the complaints and probably outnumber 3-to-1 interaction with not just Brian, but the entire city. And then driving around now and just seeing the projects that are being done with the swale work, it's like I'm running into the city workers probably, it seems 3 or 4 times a day, and that they're just out, they're doing their job, and people are happy, and I think it really is making a difference. And so thank you and your staff and all the department heads over there. Just things are getting done, and I'm very pleased.
Thank you. Is that it?
Yes.
All right, Councilmember Jones.
Yes, I also agree that things are going a lot better now. I've come to City Hall quite a bit, and every time I'm out in the public and people tell me approach me and tell me how things are going now, how great they are. I come back and talk to different people in the different departments to let them know what we're hearing, what I'm hearing from the public, and that's a really good thing for our city. And as far as the swells and the drainage, that has been a priority of mine from the very beginning, and I am so proud to see the direction that we've moved in and actually doing some of this work. So this is very good news for our citizens to understand that we are doing what we said we were going to do, is help maintain our drainage, because this rainy season, we're going to have a test, so, in this storm season. So, and then we are going to have our problems regardless, but they have been doing a great job here in the city with just everything. But some of the things that the people notice the most are the drainage and the swells and the unevenness from one neighbor's house to the other. So those things are getting resolved, and that's a good thing for us here. Yes. And that's, and also on the code enforcement side, I appreciate Brian talking about that. We have 2 code enforcement guys, and they do a great job. There's a lot of cases that they handle. When we're talking about producing this document about the cases that they're doing, is there a separation from those as to how many are proactive versus being reactive? So I think we need to see those numbers. We can get a good idea of how much time they actually have to be proactive as well. So we want them to be proactive, but they also have a lot of cases that they have to respond to. So it puts a lot of pressure on them, but we still need to see some proactive activity. And that's it for me tonight.
That's it for you. All right, Councilmember Nunn.
On that same note, Indian River County recently hired a nighttime code enforcement officer to deal with those problems that can only be dealt with at night, like people living in campers or things like that, that you kind of have to see it to deal with it. So I don't know, maybe it's something we think about considering down the road, adding another staff member to our code enforcement staff. It might be needed. So I'll leave that there. Last thing I'll say is April 19th, 11 a.m. Please come out to Creative Park. The kids are off that day. Sebastian PD will be there with their snow cones and popcorn, I believe. There's going to be the sweets lady's going to be there giving out free sweets. Going to be a pretty exciting event. Come out and check out our playground that day. Free sweets.
Sweets lady.
That's sweet.
Yeah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, unless there's something for the good of the order, we are adjourned.
Thank you.